Hi guys, I'm in the UK at the moment visiting my mum, and my mum's partner Merrick, his dad left him his piano and it's been here for years and it actually sounds really nice. I've done a little video about it before, I can't remember if it's still up. If it is, I'll link. But unfortunately it suffers from damp really badly and there's loads of white mould growing in it. So today I'm going to attempt to clean it up, treat it with a solution and dry it out a little bit.
We don't know the origin of this piano, but it's probably over 100 years old now. Last time I was here, I spotted the mould problem and tried to dry it out. But now the problem is so severe, I've really got to tackle it head on. As you can see, it's a white fluffy mould that's on absolutely everything, both the wood and the felt. It's even appearing on the outside of the piano.
Okay, so we're going to begin by wiping off the mould on the front, and we're going to be using Q-tips around the back where we don't want to get it damp, just to brush away any white mould that exists.
I can't stress this enough, wear a mask. So we're attempting to remove all visible signs of mould. I'm dipping a Q-tip into mould treatment to tackle large patches and to get right between the cracks and crevices and try to kill any of the spores. It's worth taking the time to do this thoroughly so that the problem doesn't recur. As you can see, the action is absolutely riddled. Again, we start out by trying to remove all visible traces. This is hard because the action is full of little pieces and it can be tricky to get in between them. But do your best. I find that an old toothbrush works well. Just remember to throw it away afterwards. Don't forget to do the other side. And check in between all of the hammers. This is now looking a lot better, so I'm taking it outside. I'm going to liberally douse this in mould killer. Usually, you don't want liquid anywhere near piano parts. Water of any sort can cause wood to swell up and the pieces to rub together, which can really cause a big problem. But my reasoning today is that the piano is already in a pretty awful state, and right now the mould is a bigger concern than the possibility of swelling. We have to stop this mould from regrowing. I've chosen a day that is really hot. There's full sunshine, and the key to this is to dry the pieces out as soon as possible. The moment I finish spraying, everything's going to be aired and sun-dried. Whilst that's drying, I'm going to tackle the inside of the piano. I'm taking out all of the poles to wipe and spray. I'm also treating the screws for rust, as the damp has got to them too. I'm using a steel brush to try and remove some of the rust. Then I'm dousing it in a handy rust converter that stops the rust from spreading and creates a protective layer. As per the instructions, I'm leaving them for 15 minutes, then dabbing them dry. The rust has turned black, showing that it's worked. We're now clearing a space in a sunny spot where we can put the keys overnight. When I took up the keys, I found sachets of silicone that I'd placed there the last time in an attempt to prevent damp. As you can see, they didn't make the blindest bit of difference. The problem was just too big for them to handle. Now I'm dipping Q-tips in mould killer again and removing mould from the pinholes. I'm having a good look through the holes to make sure there aren't any other obstructions like dust or clothes moss. Now I'm dousing everything down thoroughly and putting it out to dry. Again, water and wood is something you seriously want to avoid under normal circumstances, but desperate times call for desperate measures. Back to the key bed and removing the remaining mould, wiping down any surfaces. Now, I'm not a mould expert, but I have my suspicions. I don't think that these balance rail felts are actually felt. I think they might be suede. And I think this might be the cause of the mould outbreak, as I've seen similar mould growing on leather shoes. Listen when it drops in the pot. It's too weighty for felt. I'm going to remove them all and replace them. I'm putting on standard balance pin felts, which you can buy off Amazon. Before I spray, I'm covering the strings with a sheet. This is extremely important. Wood might recover from damp, but strings definitely don't. You need to keep moisture well away from them. Rusty strings are incredibly expensive to repair. I'm also taking up the front rail felts and spraying. As you can see, everything is well past its use-by date. I thought perhaps I could wash and sanitize the front felts, but take my word for this, it isn't worth trying. If you have a steamer, maybe, but moisture makes the felt puff up, and that creates a whole other problem for another video. Just ditch the old felts and buy some new ones. Final sweep of the casing, wiping down any visible mould and using the toothbrush to get right into the cracks. I'm just using a damp cloth rather than mould killer on the outside, but you should still be wearing your mask at this stage. Protect your lungs from all of this gunk. Popping the new felts on. You can buy paper punchings to go beneath the felts. Again, they're available on Amazon. But in this instance, I felt like a little arts and crafts whilst I waited for everything to dry. So I cut them out myself. You can use notepaper or newspaper. It's not the neatest job, but who's going to see? I brought everything in overnight. The casing and action were dry, but I put the keys somewhere warm to finish up.
I got all of the mould out of it yesterday. It's been drying in the sun, everything's been done, so I'm just going to put it back together now and yay!
Whilst I was doing that, I noticed these fish filters for the pond. They look just like giant front rail felts. It was like mummy and babies. Perhaps this is where new felt punchings come from. And that's it. That's all the mould gone and treated. I've told my folks to keep the piano open as much as possible so that it can air, and to treat any regrowth the moment they spot it. Hopefully we won't have to do this again.